Welcome back to the Dental Economist Show with me, your host, Mike Huffaker. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. This is a special edition show. First off, thank you all so much for listening to the podcast. It really means a lot. If you're a fan of the show, if you could like and follow, leave a review, it would really mean a lot. And so for this Christmas week, we're releasing a compilation of some of the top episodes out of the 52 episodes that we recorded this year. Opportunities to talk to some of the brightest minds in the dental industry, leaders of DSOs across the country, consultants and partners who are really driving change within the industry. And today, you're going to get pieces, snippets, hearing from a number of these individuals. So if you haven't listened to the show before, this is a great introduction to learn a little bit more about what it's like, about what we talk about, and what the focus is here on the Dental Economist Show. Well, remember, I'm neither a dentist nor an economist, though anybody that has a growth mindset that is seeking to grow their business and improve has a home here. So a few of the guests that you're going to hear from today: Dr. Sulman Ahmed, Ray Caruso, Kerry Straine, Jan Jaffer, Lorri Detrick, Dr. Saam Zarrabi, Dr. Eric Tobler, Dr. Emily Vanney, as well as Dr. Chris Salierno. So it's a really great lineup of very experienced folks within the DSO space, all sharing how they have built their business, how they think about growing their organizations, how they think about culture, how they think about building teams. And you know what? I hope that you'll enjoy it in the midst of spending time with family or friends. Depending on your relationship with your family and friends, maybe this can be a little distraction for you for a brief part of your holiday season. Thank you again so much for following or listening. It's really appreciated, and we will see you in the new year.
I'm joined by Ray Caruso. Ray has over 30 years experience in the dental industry, holding multiple executive leadership positions at prestigious DSOs. For the past 7 years, Ray has been at the helm of Lone Peak Dental as their CEO. Ray also happens to be a musician and is the co-founder of the Rock the Benefit, a nonprofit concert taking place in Colorado, benefiting the Denver's Alzheimer's Association. I like how you guys align incentives. You talk about the different bonus plans and for the different outcomes that you're looking to achieve. Is that something that you've had to put a lot of thought into or make tweaks or changes over time? Does it get modified frequently, or do you feel like it's pretty dialed in at this point where it's like, here's the structure, here's how we compensate based off achievement, and we feel like this is, pretty set with where it's at today?
Yeah, I think with our regional managers, we have it dialed in, and it hasn't changed in the last 2 or 3 years. And even this year, around October, November, our COO was going through different scenarios, and we ended up settling on the scenario that we have. So it must be the right one, figuring out the things that we want to ensure are happening, incentivizing for that success. Now, we have also found that there are a few areas where we tweaked. So, for example, if your accounts receivable, if you're a regional manager and you had all of your other things going great, but your accounts receivable was, like what, in the toilet, then you forfeited your bonus because of that. And the reasoning or the thought process behind that was don't focus so much on revenue and team percentage of salary, et cetera, at the detriment of collecting the money. And so that was the reasoning. But we found that there were too many times where it was outside of their control, and they forfeited so we took that away. We adjusted a few things and just gave a bonus if they were on this, so their quarterly bonus had like 4 or 5 different things, AR being one of the reasons, instead of forfeiting, just providing an additional incentive. So there are things that we tweak. At the office operation manager role, we changed that, I think, based on what our initiatives are, because most of our initiatives are driven at the practice, whether it's same day care, or show rate, because in our world, if you're running a 70% show rate, that's pretty good. Sounds crazy coming out of like a Heartland or a Decision One that's all PPO and fee for service, where 100%, 105% because you're adding people in. So 70%, and obviously we manage our schedules based on that. So so those are the kind of things that we want our practice, our operation managers really focused on, because there are things that you do that give that result. And so as long as those things are being done, your recare, your confirmation policies, all of those things that keep patients coming through the door. And then when you have them in the door, we say the 3 Ps. If it's good for the patient, the parent, and the practice, we should always do it. And if a kid is coming in and they're just coming in for a cleaning and they need sealants, which take us 8 minutes, 4 minutes, why reschedule them? Just do it. It doesn't cost the parent any money. It's good for the patient. If they only show up 70% of the times, that means 30% of the times they're not coming back. So it's those kind of things. It's good for the patient. It's good for the parent. It's good for the practice. They don't have to take off work. We get a little bit more revenue because of it. But the fact is that we're helping out the kid, and we want to make sure that that we're creating those healthy habits that last a lifetime.
I'm joined by Kerry Straine, President and CEO of Straine Dental Management. Kerry and his organization have touched every segment of the dental industry over the past 30 years, creating communication and management protocols, policies, and systems that have become industry standard. In April of 2022, Kerry and his wife, Olivia, founded a new DSO under the Straine Dental Management brand. Straine Dental Management was recently named a 2024 Emerging DSO to Watch by Group Dentistry Now, and in just under 2 years has grown to support over 39 practice owners. Kerry is known as the data whisperer, where analytics are his guiding principle behind his DSOs. His dental consulting team works with over 280 practices on a daily basis. So there's, workflow implications that can be, considered and other things along those lines. I would be curious, when you think about the growth plans that you have for your organization, would there become a time where you could see yourself offering centralized services in the way of RCM or billing or AR collections services, or even centralized scheduling? Do you think that affects patient experience at all? And what is your perspective on that?
Well, certainly for revenue cycle management, I could see centralization as key. I mean, I gave this seminar, and I know it sounds very basic. I gave this webinar last Friday for Dental, and I said, let's come back to the core basics. 100% of your patients should leave with their next appointment, principally their hygiene appointment at a minimum. Number 2, if they have pending treatment, especially if they have a way to fund it with insurance, there's no reason it's not rescheduled. And number 3, don't you want to collect your copayment? Now, if you're doing those things, you don't have to chase a lot of unscheduled people. The schedule should be full, and you should have the money. Then all you're dealing with is the assignment of the benefit from the insurance company. And after so many days, if that claim not being paid, that becomes a patient bill as well, if you can make that happen. So we minimize all the debris that emerges in the wake of poorly trained personnel or undercommitted personnel. If that's the case, we're truly just managing the supply and demand component and how to leverage on inflection points when there are no more openings and we have more patients than we can see. Do we expand or do we move out of network and raise our fees? All different issues. So we can look at that and really make the right decisions that not only allow the practice to take care of the number of patients that they want to take care of, but have it fit economically. And in doing so, I mean, we just can't be giving out wage increases like we've seen since COVID started and not expect for revenue enhancement. That's where the advisors at DSOs have missed the boat. If you're looking at a 20% increase in wages from 20 to 24% of revenues, you've just eaten into your margin. And if you don't have the margin, you're not going to have the EBITDA that based on the loan covenant that causes you to meet the covenant, and then you're going to get shut down. Or you're going to want to go to recap, and the investor is going to say, I get my preferred rate of return. I get my money back before you get yours. And there isn't enough left over for you. So I can't go through this recap right now, because if the investors or the role in equity isn't getting what they want, the doctors, as my friends in the business say, your most valuable assets wear shoes. And it's more than just the doctors today. If you're not creating an absolute, unbelievable economic opportunity for doctors, hygienists, assistants, and administrators, you'd miss a boat.
We're honored to have Lorri Detrick, the president and COO of Riccobene Associates Family Dentistry, joining us. With a rich background in healthcare and deep experience in dental service organizations, telehealth, teledentistry, and outpatient healthcare clinics, Lorri brings a wealth of experience as a successful operator to her role at Riccobene. Lorri is a visionary leader known for fostering culture, exceeding financial goals, and advocating for diversity and compassion in the workplace. Just recently, she was honored with the Business Leader of the Year Award from Women in DSO. Lorri, your journey is impressive, very inspiring. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
What does culture really mean to you when you think about, you've called it out on your LinkedIn as, being of paramount of importance. I know it's a priority for you. When you think about what you want that to look like, what does it look like? And what's the definition of culture?
Yeah, it's so nebulous, right? I think it's important to acknowledge in our industry that doctors and managers drive culture. So as much as we can talk as a big organization about what our values are and what we want our culture to be, every office has its own idiosyncrasies as it relates to their culture, because they have leaders in there every day that are driving it. I think the way that I think about culture is, how do I want my patients and my employees to feel when they're in our offices? So, I want them to feel like it's a place where they belong, that it's a place that they're cared for, that they don't have to be fearful, that, that they can have their needs met in a way that is satisfying to them financially, professionally, personally. So, again, different set of characteristics, whether we're talking about patients or employees. But I think that it's difficult to completely define culture, because the outcome of a good culture is a feeling, and that feeling drives low turnover, and hopefully it drives good Google reviews, and it drives all the metrics that we're looking at in regard to those areas. But you can't underestimate the power of what we want people to feel like when they interact with us.
Today, we are talking with Dr. Sulman Ahmed, the founder and CEO of DECA Dental Group, the company behind the Ideal Dental brand, known as the Starbucks of dentistry. Dr. Ahmed sits on the board of advisors for Tufts University School of Medicine, where he received his Doctor of Dental Medicine degree. He is also the president of the Association of Dental Support Organizations, which we all refer to as the ADSO. Dr. Ahmed recently wrote his first book called Make Them Smile: Why Customer Satisfaction is the Key to Rapid and Sustainable Growth. You just mentioned there's not a lot that we're doing branded de novo as a model. So it was really unique. And I think the reasons for all the success that you have had is the Ahmed Doctrine, as you call it, and kind of that being core to how you approach business. Can you talk a little bit about that as well?
Yeah, I think I've always put people at the forefront of what we do. And so as the company's kind of evolved, we started out as, we need to take care of the patients. And so it's not about what we want, it's about what the patient wants. And that's toothaches happen all the time. It's not like a Monday through Thursday kind of deal, right? And so we're like, let's open up Fridays and Saturdays. Let's have these retail locations like the Starbucks of dentistry, and let's offer more than just coffee or just, general dentistry. Let's offer specialty. And so that's how the business started. And then as we kind of started growing up, I had all these amazing people that have been here, some of them from day one, around me today. And I think that's a big part of the success just in general of any business. It's those key people, those key relationships that they all change and evolve, and needs change, and people come and go, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. But the business kind of started switching to the opposite of taking care of the patients, and we at the support team need to take care of our people. So it's almost like a twofold kind of when we say, people-centric or customer satisfaction, our staff are my customers, and then the guests coming in the offices are their customers. So that's kind of how the company kind of evolved.
I'm joined by Jan Jaffer, CEO of TREC, a group of dental clinics in and around Calgary. In addition to building a strong team culture focused on driving positive outcomes for patients, Jan is a huge believer in the power of giving back, repeatedly volunteering his time as a dentist through trips to remote parts of the world like Guatemala and Tibet. Let's talk a little bit about, your passion for giving back. I heard you say, when you give back in this world, it gives back to you. And I thought that was an excellent statement. Can you kind of extrapolate on kind of your philosophy there?
So we have to be thankful for what we have. And if we're thankful for what we have, then it turns around to being, well, if we have a lot, how can we help others? And again, being in dentistry, I've found it hard to find anybody who's been unemployed for longer than, a week of time if you're in dentistry. If you're in the dental industry, especially like on the assistant hygiene dentist side, there's always work to be done, or almost always work to be done. So we're very fortunate to be in an industry that continues to, through COVID, through good times and through bad times, does well. Sometimes we do better, sometimes we do not as well, but ultimately we're employed. And so we start from, hey, thanks for having that. Now, how do we help others? And here's the thing, right? When you do that, it's amazing what it does for you. My why is motivating people to live well and give back. So through oral health, we can help them be healthier, but not just through oral health, through box breathing, through, we get them in our chair. And so we have an opportunity to teach them about, we try to talk about supplements with our patients too, and just very basic stuff like, a vitamin D and a multivite. Like, we're not going to get too far off the beaten path, but just basic stuff that can make a difference for our patients. So motivating people to live well, and then motivating people to go and do something.
Today, I'm joined by Dr. Chris Salierno, the Chief Dental Officer at Tend. Prior to Tend, Chris was the Chief Editor of Dental Economics. He is also the Chief Development Officer for Celerant Consulting Group. His extensive career has made him an absolute fountain of knowledge across a broad range of subjects, including consumerism and dentistry, the latest technologies, and how to measure what matters. So within the studios, how do you measure or understand the standard of clinical care that's being provided to your patients?
That's of critical importance to us. We have a leadership organizational structure in the studio. We have a position called lead dentist. And if a studio doesn't yet have one in place, we have more senior dentists that we'll rely on. Look, there's chart audits. It's an old-fashioned way to do it. And unfortunately, it's traditionally very manual, although AI is showing great promise in being able to evaluate diagnostic and also execution of dentistry, execution of services in a more automated and equitable way. So that's really exciting, and we're exploring that. But really for us, what I think has been really valuable is setting a culture of continuous improvement. It's one of our values is rooted in growth, that we're always seeking continuous improvement, that we recognize that we play a role in raising our hand and seeking that improvement, and that we celebrate improvement in others. So one way we do this is on the soft skills side, and your question's on hard skills, but on the soft skills side, we get regular feedback from our patients. We call them members. We get regular survey, NPS, Net Promoter Score feedback from our patients, and we sit down with our providers, we talk about it. And we recognize, hey, maybe we just had a tough interaction with a patient. Maybe the provider did everything they possibly could have to create a great experience. But if we have a patient who just fell short for them and they gave us that feedback, we make it okay to talk about it. Let's role play together. Next time we encounter this exact situation where we're running late or whatever it is, the crown didn't fit or whatever it is, how can we improve our words, our tone, our whatever we need, nonverbal communication, to make sure we deliver a great experience and not just great dentistry. So we have a culture where we talk about this stuff. We talk about it a lot, and it doesn't feel like you're getting called to the principal's office or you're in trouble or anything like that. Well, that extends to our hard skills too. If we see, if we were to see some issue with the quality of dentistry, hey, we talk about it. We talk about it right away in a warm, loving, way. We surround them with the resources they need to improve and go from there. So I think we're looking for tech solves with AI, but that culture of improvement and accountability and making it okay. I'll be the first one to say I've done dentistry that wasn't perfect. Every dentist has done that. So let's make it okay to talk about it.
Today, we're talking with Dr. Aman Kaur, the founder and president of Women in DSO, the organization dedicated to advancing and promoting the brilliant female leaders in our industry. And so when you're talking about, not just pointing out, that there is this inequity, but doing something about it, Women in DSO goes way beyond just putting on conferences each year. Can you speak to some of the other initiatives and things that you and your organization are working on to advance that equity?
We exist to promote women to leadership roles and beyond. And how we are going to do that is by elevating their profile so they could be elevating their organizations and ultimately elevate this industry. Dental industry is women dominated despite of us, because most of those job positions we have, it requires skills which women seem to be a really good fit for that. And especially now with more women graduating from dental schools, we'll have way more women dentists as well over the years. So we're looking forward to that. All of our programs are based around different dental positions in our dental offices to DSOs that these women leaders are occupying. So we have very strong mentorship program. We take huge pride in it. And when I talk about these programs, everyone thinks maybe we have a team of 20 people, but most of our programs are run by our members. We are a very young organization, so we have been very fortunate that members are developing programs based on the needs they are seeing and based on the response they are getting to these programs.
I'm joined by Dr. Eric Tobler, National Director of Clinical Affairs for Mortenson Dental and on the board of directors of the AADGP. Dr. Tobler earned his Doctor of Medicine and Dentistry from the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, and Master of Business Administration from Washington State University. Let's talk about technology for a second. So, you mentioned how Mortenson was kind of cutting edge for many years as it related to KPIs and metrics and reporting suite, and really kind of ahead of their time in recognizing the importance of having all of that. Maybe talk a little bit about any technologies that have kind of helped Mortenson scale and helped the ability for you all to manage the business effectively at a scale of 100 plus offices. And maybe what some of the things that you're really excited about today that you think are really going to be pivotal to the future of dentistry.
I think the ability to share CBCTs between clinicians has been a big challenge that we've had. And so an ability to share those DICOM files right there, we're really excited about that. Going along with imaging technology, we're implementing Overjet AI into a number of our practices. We're doing a pretty heavy pilot on that and continuing to just look and see what the opportunities are there. And the combination of XUweb and Overjet together, I think is really cool with the integrated functionality there. I think that's going to really help our clinicians. That's one of the biggest challenges with the AI is just making sure that we're engaging with it. Our clinicians are using it on a regular basis and just having it right there naturally in the FMX or whatever else you're looking at. I think that helps a lot. And then using that AI, I think a few things that I'm really excited about, technology wise and thinking forward to dentistry, the help using AI to help us detect incipient lesions and then treating those lesions early with non-surgically with Curadont. That's a product that we just got the new ADA code for, and everything that I'm seeing with that. We're using it quite a bit in our DSO right now within Mortenson. We're using it quite a bit, but the more I see the data that's coming out, the more excited I get. I think about, what we see as clinicians all the time is patients who from 12 to 18 years old had a bunch of MODs. They didn't floss and brush like they needed to when we were kids. In fact, my own mouth, I've got a mouthful of MODs from when I was a teenager. Now as an adult, I don't really get cavities anymore. But if I do have something happen, it's always going to be recurrent decay. And that could mean on some of those bigger ones, I need to get a crown. It may just mean replacing the MOD. But that recurrent decay is an issue that I'm dealing with now at 40 some years old. And it will be the biggest challenge that I have for the rest of my life. So if we think about if we can treat decay when it's early, non-surgically, and repair that enamel to its full state and leave that as a virgin tooth, what does that mean for the future of dentistry? It really, really has me excited.
We're thrilled to have Dr. Emily Vanney, Chief Operating and Clinical Officer at United Dental Partners. Emily has over a decade of clinical experience with a proven track record of fostering collaboration, improving efficiency, and driving growth across multiple dental offices. She has a lead role in fostering a culture that provides high-quality patient care as the highest priority. You mentioned having a passion for children and children's dentistry, and that's a big focus for United Dental Partners. What do you think are some of the key components to really being successful in practicing dentistry with children?
With kids, personality and how they feel is everything. And this is true, though, with adult patients. And so, again, when I talk with the doctors within United Dental Partners, there's about 70 dentists. We have, pediatric dentists, general dentists, and oral surgeons, plus orthodontists. And really, no matter which doctor I'm working with, a lot of the key themes come through no matter what their specialty is, which is we need to make sure the patient feels very well cared for, that they feel comfortable, that they have a good experience. And that is particularly true with children because children will tell you on the spot that they're not happy. And they'll tell you either through their words or by crying, kicking, screaming. Right. Adult patients, though, they may be having those same thoughts and feelings. They're not going to tell you, though, until they either just decide never to come back, they leave you a horrible review, right? All the things that grownups do to manage their own stress and fears, kids are going to tell you on the spot. And so the great thing about pediatric dentistry is you get almost instant feedback on everything you're doing. And it lets you learn really quickly. And for me, I think it's a lot of fun. And so if you can try to incorporate fun into your job every day, whether you're a dentist, a dental assistant, front desk team member, even at the home office, right? If you're part of the finance team, if you can try to have fun every day at work, it makes any job better. And that's especially true with pediatric dentistry. So I think that's what's cool is like fun is encouraged. Not always the case in other roles.
We are thrilled to have Dr. Saam Zarrabi, co-founder of Rodeo Dental, joining us. Dr. Saam has been a visionary leader in the dental industry, guiding Rodeo Dental through the successful launch of over 40 large group practice locations. His commitment to fostering a positive team culture and improving patient care has earned Rodeo Dental numerous accolades, including being named top dentists by Fort Worth Magazine and best dentists by D Magazine for the past 5 consecutive years. Dr. Saam's dedication extends beyond the practice with significant contributions to professional organizations and charitable initiatives. And one of the statements you made that I thought was really interesting was you said, it helped me understand what was possible, like within our industry. And as you're looking at dentistry today, and you have all these amazing accomplishments, there's a lot of different things that you're involved in, and you're kind of like putting on your forward-looking hat and looking to where dentistry is going. There's a lot of talk about challenges. There's a lot of focus on same-store growth. We know that there's, struggles with inflation and costs of supplies and reimbursements, and there's always the challenges with insurance and payers and everything else that has probably been around in one way, shape, or form for quite some time, but maybe is even magnified more with what's happened over the past 4 years. But what still, when you think about dentistry and what it does for communities, what it does for the country, kind of how it fulfills your mission, what still really excites you about being involved in this industry?
This is one of the greatest moments to be in our field. I'll tell you why. We are at the forefront. We're on the front doorstep of the first level of real investment and innovation that's coming in and rapidly. I mean, if we want to talk about what the DSO space and private equity has brought, to our field, it's massive investment. There's more innovation happening and investment into the technology and now the AI piece than's ever happened before. And it's global, right? Some of the stuff that's going on in Europe and in Australia and South America, it's awesome to see. So I think we're going to see this huge influx of innovation. You know, they just did that first case on the patient with the robot. And so I think a lot of people like might go, oh my gosh, they're taking my job. No, this is going to relieve so much burden and cost that's really hindering the system. And I think open it up in ways that we're going to be able to better treat patients. We're going to do it at a faster pace, more efficient. Claim adjudication is going to get better with all the AI stuff. Diagnostic stuff is going to get better. Things aren't going to hurt as much or feel as scary because a lot of the things that used to cause that are going to be alleviated. So I think with all that said, that's going to allow better experiences. And then in the midst of all this, you have this awareness and awakening happening to how important oral health and dentistry is and how it connects to the whole body. So we went from being the providers that really weren't that important and, you know, like we're not even doctors, right? That's the only thing. You guys aren't even doctors, you're just dentists. Versus no, we're actually really integral to collection of data, working with the medical providers and integrating all that. Practices are now integrating medical and dental all over. So, you know, the next 20 years, I think is going to be incredible. And people that embrace that, we're going to have really cool dynamic models that we're going to see. And so I'm excited. I love when people copy some of our stuff and take that and mold it. To me, that's a compliment. And so more of that, I think, to come.
The Dental Economist Show is brought to you by Planet DDS, home of Dental OS. To find out more about how cloud-based dental software by Planet DDS helps unleash dentists and their staff to focus on patient care, visit www.planetdds.com. Stay tuned for upcoming episodes by following wherever you listen to podcasts. And thank you for listening.